Okay, so let's talk about the arc of the goddess in civilization, because it's not just a theme, it's a whole storyline. Starting with Act 1. In the beginning, it was all goddess all the time. In the beginning, like the actual beginning, the divine was female. The earliest agricultural earth based societies worshipped the goddess as the source. Birth, death, the moon, the harvest, the mystery, all her domain. There was no separate male god, no co star, just a single mom doing it all. And then we have Act Two, the patriarchal takeover. This is obviously when the original show writers went off to create a new show because they already won their Emmys. So the producers had to bring in the B team. Anyway, a bunch of dudes show up with herds, weapons, and a lot of bad ideas. And we have the herding and warrior cultures, Semitic and Indo European, roll in. And suddenly, the earth wasn't divine anymore. It was a land to be owned. And the goddess wasn't sacred, she was an obstacle to power. And the mythology? Totally rewritten. Basically, the goddess got written out of the show, probably because one of the B team writers used to be married to her and it didn't work out and he was still butthurt, so he wrote her off the show. I mean, it's possible. Anywho, in the early Hebrew culture, the goddess was so fully erased that the only time she's mentioned, she's called the abomination. I mean, is that necessary? But in cultures like the Greek and Roman, the goddess was still in the mythology, but now she was more of a recurring side character because she was often sidelined, punished, or married off to someone with control issues and a thunderbolt. And so, how does a shift like this affect society, you ask? Well, let me tell you. When you completely replace mother with father in your myths, you don't just change the story, you change the psychology of the people who live with those stories and with that mythology. The culture shifts, the balance tilts. And the next thing you know, the divine feminine almost disappears entirely, which is why so many of us are just now rediscovering her. Okay, then we have Act 3, Divine Partnership, almost paradise. Because then came the dual divine era, where the goddess and the god shared the mythic spotlight, kind of. The producers were like, guys, the ratings are down. We need to bring back some of the feminine energy. I think you dialed it too far back. Now, obs, there were some sharing issues on the masculine side, as the goddess wasn't always represented as equal, or sovereign, or the protagonist, but at least now the feminine and the masculine were both actively present in the stories, usually as lovers, partners, or divine frenemies with creative tension. Think Zeus and Hera, Shiva and Parvati. They may have fought, but the divine masculine and the divine feminine sat side by side. And she had her own temple merch, too. Check out her online store. But seriously, though, male and female energies existing at the same level is what seems the natural order. I mean, like, why would we even be here together then? I believe we're meant to exist in harmony and that we're more connected than we may realize. Okay, so in any culture, people take their cues from their gods. So if your god is a warrior dude, you build warrior cultures. If your god is a nurturing gal, you build nurturing culture. And if they share the world in harmony, good times for all. Now, during Act 2, which I just now renamed Patriarchs on Parade, the Hebrew tradition had completely replaced the goddess with the idea of a male only divinity. And as the church lady would say, how convenient! But in some of the Abrahamic tradition spin offs, like the Roman Catholic tradition, she comes back as the Virgin. I feel like by now the show writers were like the interns from season 1, and the sexiest thing they could come up with was, what about, okay, now go with me on this, the Virgin. And the other writers were like, it's 4 a.m., we have to put a script out, let's just run with it. And it obs got some traction because just think about it. How many 12th and 13th century French cathedrals are there called Notre Dame, aka Our Lady? There are a lot of them.